So good afternoon, everyone. I know that we're the last session between you and lunch sponsored by Google, so that's a quite challenging slot, I'm guessing. But obviously having fantastic people on the panel today will make it worthwhile for you. So the app user acquisition panel is really something that, you know, at every event people get really excited about and ask really detailed questions. And we have both kind of the supply, the demand side, and also the tech side. And I think that's really, really good. So please do ask your questions. Don't be shy. I'm sure we'll be able to help you out. But just to kick things off, I'll ask the individual people to introduce themselves, their company, and also share their top tip for user acquisition on mobile. And then maybe we'll go back to Marina later and ask how she got the 45 cents CPI. But I'm sure she will be able to share that with us. So, Edouard, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I'm Edouard. I'm working for Facebook. I'm working in the sales organization, and I'm looking after the gaming partners.
Fantastic. And what is your top tip for mobile user acquisition?
I'd say first one, make sure that you're promoting on Facebook. That's the first tip.
Okay.
No, really, like, the main thing with us is when we are helping the developers to grow on Facebook, we just want them to come with like a clear objective, what they want to do in terms of like a type of gamers they want to have, the countries they want to reach, and if they have a clear objective in terms of CPI, LTV, that help us to build like really clear strategies. That will be my tip, to be really square on that.
So the starting point is to actually know what you are trying to achieve.
What is your vision, and then we are working on the strategy.
Yeah, that is so true, actually, that it's not always clear. Thank you for sharing that. So Matan from Startup?
Yeah, Matan from Startup. I'm head of Startup Market, one of our solutions for both advertisers looking for distribution and publishers looking to monetize.
What would your top tip be for user acquisition?
So I think we got two good examples before from the speakers from Movista and from Milo about two totally different approaches to distribution and acquisition. And I think that you have to ask yourself the hard questions before, so you know exactly what you're going to look for, so you can pick the right channels and then set the right expectations from the start. It's hard. We see examples of partners coming and asking for large volume, extremely engaged users, but, oh yeah, also, let's target just 10 cities in a very small country, because I know it's working well for us. So it's all possible, but not all together. Each step at a time.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for sharing. I'm also very excited to introduce Sis, who joins us from Avazu.
Yeah, I'm Director of Publishers at the Berlin office here. We are actually a Chinese-based technology house, and we build solutions for app developers for everything around mobile. So we do a lot of user acquisition, of course, but also monetization with native ads and mobile DSP. And about my top tip is maybe contradicting some of the data people here, and I apologize, but know your KPIs, but let the campaign breathe a little. Let us do the job. It's, you know, when I see our portfolio of campaigns, all global, all fantastic CPIs, great budgets, why is one campaign is getting so much more volume than the other? And a lot of the times, the answer is actually the human touch, the person that sits on the other side, the other end of the road, of your road, let's say, and says, okay, let's test, let's give it a try, let's mix traffic sources and channels, like our nice competitors doing as well. So for me, again, know your KPIs, but don't strangle the campaign.
Okay, that's a top tip. I'll definitely note that. And clearly we have quite a few Chinese companies here today, so it's not only about Facebook and Google, but we're having Avazu, Cheetah Mobile, and others present here today to share their knowledge as well. But I think it's really exciting for everyone in the room. We had some discussions earlier, and we heard that you are from different verticals with different objectives, different geographic targeting, to actually hear from the client side. And Trivago obviously being an amazing brand, and maybe you can also share not only your top tip for app user acquisition, but also travel tip. We would like to hear from Maria what she can recommend.
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Maria. I do app marketing at Trivago. One thing is we don't have titles at Trivago, so I'm just app marketing. My top tip would be it's very easy to structure, it's the organizational tip. It's very easy to structure your teams into regions, and we've seen that it's much more efficient to structure our team into networks or channels, because then, first of all, the communication is much easier, but also scalable, like everything becomes much more scalable, because one person sees that something performs and can add all the markets directly, or can decide to stop the campaign because they see that it doesn't work across markets much faster than if you're only focusing on one market and one network at a time.
And what is the top travel destination you would recommend for this season?
Barcelona, always. I'm from Barcelona.
Okay, here we go.
But it's amazing, so yeah.
Yeah, so we've all booked our MWC tickets already just to make sure. I'm not quite sure where we're going to sleep, but, that's what Airbnb and Trivago are for, to help us sort that out. Last but definitely not least, I want to introduce Daniel from AppsFlyer.
Thank you. I am Daniel, Director of Sales and Business Development at AppsFlyer. We are a mobile attribution and marketing analytics company. Advertisers integrate our universal SDK to track campaigns across all channels, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Google, ad networks, TV, and really capture all the key data points to understand which campaigns are delivering the quality users. My top tip, I guess, would be that when starting out, giving yourself the best chance of converting and providing that seamless experience for users on the data that can be captured from the campaign side. It's, if you know that a user has come from a specific keyword campaign, it's delivering them to that specific content to make sure that their user journey is as seamless as possible and boost the chances of engagement.
Okay. So thank you for sharing that. I mean, we'll kick off with a few questions, and then we're going to open it up to you guys to ask your questions. I mean, there's so many things I would like to ask Facebook, especially congratulations on the Facebook baby the other day. That's going to change the world from what I was reading. But let's focus on the topic at hand and talk about user acquisition, because obviously we're all waiting for big announcements from Facebook, not only during F8, but throughout the year, to see what we need to prepare for. So can you share with us a little bit, from a Facebook perspective, what should app developers be most excited about in the next 6 months?
We have great development on the product side, which amazing products such as carousel or video. And one of the girl who was talking there was talking about video. So on Facebook, it will be one of the best products we will have on the market. Instagram as well is taking off. So it's for us another way to target other kind of people on Instagram. And we are starting rolling out Instagram for developers. So it's kind of working well, and it will be huge next year. And the last is audience network, the Facebook audience network. We have more and more publishers every day, and it's growing as well really heavily. So I guess next year those 3 pillars will be the most important things to look out next year.
And what about attribution through Atlas?
Yeah, the measurement is always something we are looking after. We are working on that. But you were asking me about exciting stuff, so it's more product on Instagram. That measurement is not.
I hope none of the Atlas guys are here. So thank you for that, Edouard. And Matan, I think it's really interesting to kind of look at things a little bit more holistically, because you are interacting with many different advertisers, both demand and supply side. Can you share with us your insights, kind of the evolution of user acquisition, and kind of predict the future? What can we expect in 2016? I know it's a tricky question, but
yeah, predicting the future is a hard one. But I think that working with many advertisers and having our SDK integrated with over 200,000 apps as publishers, the evolution that we see, and I want to talk both about the brain side and the beauty side, because we think it goes together. So on the brain side, I think that more and more advertisers are becoming more sophisticated, tracking well, looking at the right post-install activity and the right in-app events. It becomes more and more complicated to deliver quality, and this is how it should be, because the advertisers are on the beginning of the money chain, and I think we're going to be more and more focused on the advertisers, less focused on the eCPM for publishers, as I think the industry used to be. And on the beauty side, I think that the human eye, and it's not news to anyone, becomes almost apathic to banners. So more and more video, rich media, native, and the combination between the two.
Okay, fantastic. So many new, exciting formats coming our way. And I think in mobile user acquisition marketing, we have a lot of interesting buzzwords. We always call it the mobile marketing bingo, essentially. You know, you always have programmatic and native and all these exciting new things we talk about at these conferences. And I wanted to ask you, Sis, specifically when it comes to native advertising. I mean, how, from a user acquisition perspective, can you share the view on its benefits for app developers? And are there any kind of geographic differences when it comes to that?
I mean, Avazu's DNA is Asian, and we are bringing to the West, which is actually a much easier job than vice versa for other networks. So in terms of our native solution, first of all, we do a very easy integration, which was for us also very important to develop in-house, which is API. We also have an SDK, but it's always, you know, a bit of a struggle. I don't know how startup is handling that. That would be interesting to talk later. But we do hear a lot problems integrating SDKs because of size, etc. So we have a good API integration and a good library. This is how we call it for native, both Android and iOS, and at the moment, very, very strong in all of Asia. And hopefully now, today, and in the next events, we'll be able to integrate with local German and European apps.
There are local differences between when it comes to native specifically?
Well, from what I see, Asians, sorry for generalizing, but Asians are always faster to adapt to new trends and to technology. When comparing to European developers, which are much more hesitant, and they're checking the risks and what's working, what's not working. So I can definitely see already a lot more players. If it is the huge Chinese utility apps that are already, you know, using our integration.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Maria, there have been quite a few discussions here today, but also last night discussing what is it we want to achieve. How would you go about defining KPIs? Because I think that's a really, really important point. We always talk about, you know, CPW, cost per whatever, and it is interesting. What are the metrics one should look at, and how to go about actually defining those?
Yeah, it was funny that you were saying let the campaigns breathe, but what is important for us is also to make the campaigns perform and affordable and sustainable. So I think what is very important is to know how much you can afford in the end. So like the maximum that you can afford for a user, because otherwise it won't work for either of us. Like we cannot keep the campaigns running. So what we did was we were lucky when we started because we had already 1 year of data, because the app was running for a year before we started doing user acquisition. So we analyzed all our data and we decided when do we want to be break even, at which point, and then we know how much maximum we can afford for these users in order to be able to sustain the campaigns. And I think it is very difficult and it requires a lot of help from BI, and we were working with data for a long time, but Once you find out how it's the maximum, you can also try to group the in-app events that will tell you in the beginning really fast what kind of user this is going to be. And then you can also adjust the CPI. So I think this is the most efficient way. Also let the campaigns breathe, but make them run for a long time, which is what we all want.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, Maria. And Daniel, I think one of the things that is essentially a follow-up question to the one I asked Maria is how does that all work in a kind of more integrated way? So if we're looking at cross-device rather than mobile only.
Well, I mean, obviously, when you're investing money to acquire downloads for the app, and if you're a brand that has other touch points, a website or a store, then you're going to want to make sure that the various actions that are carried out by those users that are being acquired are not analyzed in different data silos, and you are able to connect the dots and make sure that you can accurately calculate the ROI and the LTV generated from those users that were paid for mobile, but then went on to carry out an action on the website, let's say. So, of course, we're helping advertisers to do that. I can plug AppsFlyer again and again, but it is going to be something that is going to be developing more. A lot more e-commerce and retailers are getting and starting to invest even more in their apps. And so it is, of course, very important to know that setup is possible and take advantage of it, because at the end of the day, those data points can make a difference between a successful campaign and an unsuccessful campaign.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So we talked about the brains and the beauty. So we want to open up the questions. James is over there with the microphone. And if you grab the microphone and are brave enough to ask a question, please state your name and your company before asking your question. Any questions? Any volunteers? Or did we actually manage to answer all your questions? Or is everyone working on the app indexing already?
We don't know what's for lunch, by the way. So.
Hey, I'm Daniel from Picasso, Barcelona, Spain.
Oh, another one from Spain. So definitely Barcelona is the tourist destination. And what is your question?
I don't know. I just entered the room and I heard about app indexing. I say, me. But no, I have no questions.
Okay. So maybe your friends at your table can help you and ask a question about user acquisition, app user acquisition. We have people here from Facebook and AppsFlyer and Trivago, so you can ask a question.
No, I don't have questions. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough. So, see, guys, we did a good job. No more questions.
One question.
I have a question. Hi, my name is Ekaterina, and I'm from PubNative. PubNative is a native SSP, so we're doing native advertising. And I have a question for Facebook. It's very exciting. Instagram native advertising looks fantastic. I'm, as a user as well, always fascinated with the right ads I see in my phone. And I'm actually very interested, Facebook started with Facebook ads, Facebook native ads, then expanded to Instagram. And I assume that your next step in native advertising would be bringing native ads to WhatsApp Messenger. Is it so? And if that it is true, you have any plans? And how you're going to basically get all the users of the world?
Yeah, so as far as I know, Instagram is not part of the short-term launch or exciting stuff. Otherwise, I would have put that with Instagram, answering your question. There's no plan at the minute to develop anything. I guess Messenger would be is a nice platform for new developers, and you can see some of them now, such as Jiffy, for example, who is doing a good job with us. But Instagram, obviously, at some stage will be one of the big platforms, but so far there's nothing planned that I can share.
Okay, so we had the politically correct answer on that one. Do we have any further questions?
Thanks for running. Steve from Remerge Advertising. I have a question to Maria. You said you have like several events that you track after the install to define the type of user. What kind of events are those, and how is the CPI adjustment then working for you?
So we track everything that the user is doing in the app. So from searching for a hotel to using the filters to favoriting hotels. And how the CPI is related to that is on how we make money. So there's, of course, we also track the event that monetizes our app. And this is the main one that relates to this, but what we've seen analyzing all this data was that there's combinations of events that are an indication, like really early indication that this is going to then be a valuable user for us in the long term.
Does that answer your question? Yeah? Do we have any questions on this side of the room? No more questions. So fantastic. Then we're going to have lunch 5 minutes early. So thank you, Google, for making that happen for us. And thank you so much for our panelists today and sharing their expert advice with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.